What's up, Wizards? It's Dev, and we're going to be looking at these cards from Aftermath. You guys know it's Aftermath spoiler season. Officially, there were no leaks ever. Nobody has ever seen these cards. No one knows what they do, including me. Only I mean it. I haven't looked at like basically any of these. I think I know what 4 or 5 of them tops do. And when we get to those, I'll be like, oh, hey, it's this card. And I know what you do. But for the most part, I'm going in like pretty much blind here. I woke up at 2 o'clock this afternoon, immediately went to my in-laws' house, changed all of the brakes on my car with my father-in-law, pads, rotors on the front, drums on the back, harrowing ordeal. It was something else. Banged up my knuckles. My hands are all oily because I'm a real woman. So I basically haven't had any time to look at these cards today, and I didn't look at the leaks. So like I said, I don't know what most of these do. So we're going to fly blind tonight and see how well we can do with that. We're going to be looking at 30 cards today and then 20 cards tomorrow. I've saved a lot of the uncommons and a few of the rares for tomorrow. But tonight, we're going to be looking at mostly bangers. Bangers and mash. Well, not much mash. Mostly bangers. So let's open it up and see what we get first in our slideshow here. It's Arnie Metalbrow. He's 3 mana. 2 in a red for a 3/3 legendary human berserker. Whenever a creature you control attacks or a creature enters the battlefield under your control attacking, you may pay 1 in a red. If you do, you may put a creature card with mana value less than that creature's mana value from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Okay. And then does this chain? Okay, so whenever a creature you control attacks, itself included, that's kind of nice to know. Whenever whatever you have attacks or a creature enters the battlefield under your control attacking, you do this, and then the creature enters under the battlefield tapped and attacking. So, yes. I guess if you have 4 mana, you can chain this, but you need to attack with like a 4-drop, or maybe you're just attacking with Arnie, and you get a free 2-drop and a free 1-drop. It actually seems good, but you're tying up a good bit of your mana to do this. I guess there are like gonzo Christmas plays where you swing with a 6-drop and get a free 5-drop, and like that's gross, but that's probably never going to actually happen. So, I mean, 3 mana 3/3. I do feel like this could be better. You playing this, or you playing Fable of the Mirror Breaker, you know? But Fable of the Mirror Breaker rotates. And so we got to start thinking about that. But still, this doesn't seem terrible because you're going to attack. You're going to attack, and if you happen to be able to trigger it twice, you can, right? Yeah, chains. Just making sure with chat that I'm not like saying something really goobery right now. But yeah, you can chain this, even though I think that is super best case scenario and probably takes your entire turn. And you got to have cards in your hand. They have to be creatures. They have to satisfy the conditions. So some of the time, this is going to be just a 3 mana 3/3 and not much else, especially if you want to cast spells on your turn. Right? But I guess there's a world where you can swing with a haste. Well, that doesn't even work. I was going to say a haste 4-drop after this, but then you can't activate this ability. But I guess there's a world where you do swing with that 4-drop and you can pay 2 mana for a 3-drop and then still have 2 mana open for, a removal spell or another creature or something like that. So if anything, you're just trying to find like a way to generate mana with this and effectively give creatures haste. It also kind of does that, and that's kind of good. But I think in the current meta, you got Reckoner Stormseeker is just like better, but this might do a pretty poor imitation of a card like that. But again, you have to devote mana to it. I keep coming back to that. I don't like that. So, I don't know. There's probably some like gonzo stuff. Prototype cards. Yeah, that's the problem, is that the CMC is the more expensive one. So, it doesn't work the way you want it to. There's probably some stuff this works with. There probably is. But this looks like a dank jank kind of thing more than a competitive card. But he's cool. Always. No matter how long he exists in the world, he's always like, I've got this thing in my head. It's like he's 51st dating it. Like he wakes up every morning like, what's this in my head? Because it's hit a part of his brain that makes him forget that he has it. Every 30 seconds he's like, oh yeah. Anyway, let's look at Ayara's Oathsworn next. This is 2 mana. This is 1 and a black for a 2/2 human knight with menace. All right, good start. Whenever Oathsworn deals combat damage to a player, if it has fewer than 4 +1/+1 counters on it, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then if it has exactly 4 +1/+1 counters on it, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. Well, so you get the Demonic Tutor with it. But it has to attack 1,000,000 times to Demonic Tutor, and in the meantime, it's just a 2-mana 2/2 menace. Yeah. You know what you can do with this, I guess, here's an idea, is that you can invoke Justice, right? You can play Invoke Justice if this has no counters on it whatsoever, and then just put all 4 counters on it and swing with it, and you Demonic Tutor. So, for 2 mana, this isn't bad. It's not a bad card. What are the other 2 mana drops that like black plays? Right, you got Tenacious Underdog, that's the obvious one. Crap. This could go in, couldn't it? It's okay. It has to attack so many times, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. It's a 2 mana 3/3, right? Because like, well, no, it's not. It has to deal combat damage. It has to deal combat damage like 4 times, man. Probably pass on that if I had to guess. If I had to guess, you know, I think it has to be 3 counters. If it has fewer than 4 counters on it, so if it has 3 counters on it, put a counter on it. Then if it has 4 counters on it, so you're right, Invoke Justice wouldn't work. Yeah, good catch on that. Invoke Justice wouldn't work. It has to have 3 counters on it, and then you deal combat damage. So Invoke Justice, it still works. You just can't put every counter on it. So that's interesting. I don't know. I do like it with Invoke, and like, there's other ways to get counters on it, right? Like Kumano and Thundering Raiju. Jugon Defends the Temple. Teachings of the Kirin. Homestead Courage. You know, there's like a bunch of ways, but like half of those have you playing bad cards, which you don't want to do, especially when this is already like a bit of a bad card. It's got an evasive ability, but it's the worst evasive ability. Like, it can still be blocked. But if it gets through even once, it's a 2 mana 3/3, so that's kind of gas, you know? That's okay. It gets through twice, 2 mana 4/4, and then it's like really good. So snowbally, but I think your opponent's going to jump right in front of it. Graveyard Trespasser, Corpse Appraiser, like something, you know? So I don't know, man. It'll probably take something out on a double block, though. It'll probably trade with something on double block, because it has to be Graveyard Trespasser and something else. So I don't hate it, but I want to see it in action. I think that's a lot of counters to have to get on it, really. Are these standard legal? Yes, they are, as a matter of fact. Calyx, Guided by Fate, the next card. 3 mana, 1 a green and a white for a 2/2 legendary enchantment creature, human druid, so almost doesn't matter what the text is. It might be playable in green-white enchantments, but I don't love 3 mana 2/2s. Let's see what it does. Constellation. Whenever Calyx, Guided by Fate or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, Generous Visitor. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Okay. Really expensive Generous Visitor, but it also counts itself. So I guess you could put the counter on it, so it's kind of a 3 mana 3/3. Whenever Calyx or an enchanted creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may create a token that's a copy of a non-legendary enchantment you control. Do this only once each turn. Okay, so another combat damage card. So 3 mana 3/3, if it does combat damage, let's read it like that. 3 mana 3/3, if it deals combat damage to a player, create a token copy of a non-legendary enchantment. Copy Fable, copy Borrowed Time, copy Wedding Announcement, copy Ossification, copy some nutso stuff, right? All will be one, Arcane Bombardment, but like, that's Christmas Land, probably, very likely. I want to do it. Seems good. But I imagine what you're just going to do is copy your Audacity or something like that, you know? This probably slots in. This probably slots in for 2 weeks, doesn't make the deck that much better, and then it's about, you know, something like that. If I had to guess, it's like this probably becomes a 2 of or 3 of in green-white enchantments, and the deck stays right around the same area it is on the tier list, because I'm not sure. I guess if you have this and Generous Visitor going, like, you're doing work, so it's not bad. Yeah, copy Spirited Companion, draw a card, you know. Jukai Naturalist, I guess, yeah. Maybe. Yeah, you play Naturalist on turn 2, and then you play this on 3, and you still have mana left. So you can, like, Circle of Confinement something, or whatever. Planar Disruption. Spirited Companion, whatever. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. You play that thing where all your enchantment creatures get +1/+1, right? That guy, he's 2 mana. You could go like Naturalist into Calyx into that guy. That'd be a pretty good line. So, yeah, he probably slots in. Again, I'm not sure that he like makes the deck jump up in the tier list or anything, but like he has a home day one. He's also a cool commander, just for what that's worth. He's a fine commander. Campus Renovation. This is one of the cards I know what it does already. This is 5 mana, 3 a red and a white for a sorcery. Return up to 1 target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Cough button real quick. I'm back. So this is awesome. So cool, man. It's restricted to artifacts or enchantments. But you also draw 2 cards. Basically, right? You kind of just draw 2 cards. They have decided that for the most part, reanimation spells are gonna be 5 mana. Just reanimation spells 5 mana. That's the rate. But they're gonna get better and better at 5 mana. We're gonna get Cruelty of Gix. We're gonna get Invasion of Tolvad at 5 mana. We're gonna get Campus Renovation at 5 mana. You know, we're gonna get what is it? Repair and Recharge, 5 mana, and that's like a passable. That's a pretty good reanimation spell, man. And this is a lot like a Repair and Recharge. Artifacts and enchantments, so we can't get most creatures. Obviously, we can get artifact creatures, enchantment creatures, but we can get like Portal to Phyrexia with this. A lot of those decks are already red-white, right? So just a ridiculous card. The ability to get Portal and draw 2, like I'm playing with the card. I'm amazed it's just an uncommon. This could have been rare. People probably would have booed, but it could have been rare. But I'm glad they gave it to us at an uncommon. I think it's just a really good card, and the art is ridiculous. The art is very, very good on this card. But, whew. Quite a good card. I just want to punctuate that, but I got to move on. This is one of my favorite cards of the day, though. I'm going to let you know that because this is one of the few I've already seen, and I've been thinking about it for like a week. Coppercoat Vanguard. Oh, yeah, I know what this does, too. Because when I was downloading card images earlier, this has a very short text box, and it's very hard to not read it. Just out of curiosity. But Coppercoat Vanguard. This is probably the card from the day that slots in day one easily into a tier 1 deck and makes it better. No questions asked. This is 2 mana, 1 and a white for a 2/2 human soldier. Each other human you control gets +1/+0 and has ward 1. So it goes in humans and it goes in soldiers. Day 1, 4 of, guaranteed. It's going to be in a real deck. It's just unbelievable card, man. Like it goes not only in those decks in standard, but in commander as well. If you're playing humans in commander, if you're playing humans in pioneer, explorer, historic, whatever, just obviously you want this card. Giving your humans ward 1 is crazy, especially like I feel like a lot of the time this is going to act like a Thalia. It's kind of not as good as a Thalia some of the time, but especially along with Thalia, it's unbelievable. If you have both this and Thalia out, then it effectively costs your opponents an extra 2 mana to cast removal spells. And your Thalia with First Strike is a 3 power creature now. So like, it's just unbelievable. I can imagine how many turns are going to be like, turn 2 Thalia, turn 3 Vanguard Recruitment Officer or something like that. It's just like a nutso curve, man. This thing is so good, dude. And all those creatures are humans, by the way. Thalia, Recruitment Officer, this. So it's a soldier, so it gets boosted by, Valiant Veteran, the existing Soldier's Anthem. So, like I could gush about how good this card is, but it's pretty self-evident, honestly. It's like boringly good. It's worryingly good, though. It's just another Anthem effect for a deck that kind of didn't need any help, to be honest. So we'll move on to Cosmic Rebirth. This, I also know what this does. This is a cool card. This is 3 mana, 1, a green, and a white for an instant. I think that's interesting. Choose target permanent card in your graveyard. If it has mana value 3 or less, you may put it onto the battlefield. If you don't put it onto the battlefield, put it into your hand. You also just gain 3 life, because whatever, Like, this is a good card, guys. You can only hit permanents with it, but it's an instant. So, like in Naya, end of turn, you can go Fable of the Mirror Breaker and get your Goblin, and then immediately untap and get Chapter 2. Like, that's really good. That's so good in like a long game mid-range deck. multiple planeswalkers you can get with this. You can just get Rin. You can just get the 3-mana Rin with this out of your graveyard. You can get in Abzan, Liliana of the Veil, which I think is actually really sweet. To put that on the battlefield instant speed is pretty dope. And like you just gain 3 life too. Like sure. If it doesn't have 3 mana value or less though, you can still get it. You can still pluck it out of your yard. It puts Shigeki onto the battlefield EOT, by the way. Shigeki on the battlefield EOT, and that way you just untap and immediately act. You have the ability. It's almost like you gave your Shigeki haste. And that's pretty slick, man. Like, there's a lot of really cool stuff about this card. The fact that it's instant speed might really seriously make it playable, but I'm not sure there's a mid-range deck that it slots into immediately. Nobody's playing green, but Abzan, Naya, Bant. Bant is somewhat likely too, I think. I'll have like great targets for this card. And yeah, it's an uncommon. Like, how is it an uncommon? That's unbelievable, dude. And there's plenty of like 3-drop EOT creatures in standard. You can get a Guardian of Girapur at instant speed, build your own Restoration Angel with this card and a Guardian of Girapur. You can get back a Reckoner Bankbuster at instant speed. And if you have the mana left over EOT during your opponent's turn, you go ahead and draw a card. You can resurrect instant speed, a Reckoner Bankbuster during your opponent's combat step and block with it with this card. That's kind of sexy too. Like, this card is great. I'm fairly certain this card is really, really good. Just being able to resurrect, Graveyard Trespasser or something like that during your opponent's combat step is probably pretty good too. So, man, like every good permanent in standard costs 3 mana. Like Wedding Announcement and Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Anointed Peacekeeper. There are a ton of them. So I expect that this card is kind of bonks at instant speed. If it wasn't instant speed, I wouldn't be talking about it so much, but this card is instant, dude. Yeah, all formats, sir. Could be, dude. Yeah, what formats will these be legal in? All formats, standard included. So yeah, Jenny Faye's coming back. See, now the wheels are turning. I like it. You can get Jenny with it. There's a lot of stuff you can get with this. So much stuff you can get with this. So it's in a weird color combination. Again, nobody plays this color combination, but I think it's got some interesting picks in every 3-color combination it could go in, honestly. Especially getting back Fable. Getting back Fable seems disgusting. Getting back even something like Jugan Defends the Temple, right? EOT, go ahead and effectively get 2 chapters off that immediately. I think it's really good with sagas. But creatures too, planeswalkers. Come on, man. But let's move on. We got to move on to Danitha, New Benalia's Light. Danitha, they never do you right. What did they do with you this time? 3 mana, 1, a green and a white for a 2/2. Legendary Human Knight, Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink. So 3 mana, 2/2. The lesson. I haven't read the rest of this card yet. I know it's infuriating, but the lesson so far with Danitha, she has been a great way to teach the lesson that a 3 mana 2/2, no matter how many keyword abilities, is almost never good. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an aura or equipment spell from your graveyard. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. That makes this a 4 or 5 mana card, right? Because you want to get value off of it the turn it comes in. You want to feel like it did something. There's not enough auras in the green-white enchantments deck for this to be in that deck. I don't think. I mean, like, you got Audacity and like maybe 2 other things, but it's not that we're playing runes anymore. There's not a ton of creature enchantments in that deck. So, and the equipments deck is not green-white, and I don't think you want to, make it Naya. I think it should just stay red-white, and it's not even a good deck. So, this strikes me as a commander. That's what this looks like to me. It looks like it might be really good in Historic Brawl. Probably great there, right? But in Standard, man, 3 mana 2/2. Interesting keywords. Vigilance is a prize in this Standard specifically. Trample and Lifelink. So if it gets a single aura, it's still not great, actually. It's still, needs First Strike or something. These aren't bad keywords. I'm not trying to poop on the card too much. I just know Danitha, they never do Danitha right, dude. I want her to be, she's a great character. Great character, but like she always gets weak cards. But this is a good ability. This is card advantage out of your graveyard once a turn. And that's good, right? But I don't know if you have the time in Standard to set a card like this up. So I'm just not too sure. Drannith Ruins is next. Sweet art. This is land. Taps for a colorless, or you can pay 2 and tap it to put 2 +1/+1 counters on target non-human creature that entered the battlefield this turn. It's pretty good, right? Probably not standard playable, but maybe it's like a one of in a deck or two here and there. You know, maybe if you're playing like mono green monsters or like Gruul monsters or something like that, where you just don't have any humans, you just happen to not have any humans, and you're only playing 1 or 2 colors anyway, you can fit like a one of colorless land. You probably put it there. I could see doing that. But you have to have extra mana. You effectively have to have 3 extra mana because you have to tap this too. So this is a commander card, right? Probably a pretty good commander card, but still, I could see a standard deck running 1 or 2 of this monocolored deck. Yeah, I could see it. We'll move on to Feast of the Victorious Dead. It's Orzhov. Okay, this is a black and white for an enchantment. I have purposefully not read this card yet. At the beginning of your end step, if 1 or more creatures died this turn, good start, you gain that much life. Was it 1 or more of your creatures? If 1 or more creatures died this turn, you gain that much life and distribute that many +1/+1 counters among creatures you control. That's okay. It's not amazing. I want this to be... my lizard brain that loves aristocrats is like, this is a good card. It's not too... Is it worth... So you don't play it on turn 2, right? You play it on like turn 4 when you actually have an attack step that you can cook with, you know? You play it post-combat. You play it second main phase. And hopefully one of your or their guys died in combat. I like that it's any creatures that died this turn. It's any creatures that died this turn. So you can even just like target your opponent's Shelly with a removal spell and get a +1/+1 counter on a guy, which is the part of the card I really like. I really don't care about gaining life, but this obviously goes in like Clerics, the Clerics deck that cares about gaining life, you know, probably goes there. But in Aristocrats, let's say I sack 2 dudes. So I gain 2 life and I get 2 +1/+1 counters if I sack 2 guys. Now, if I'm going off, if I'm on the Aristocrats turn where I'm sacrificing like 6 or 7 guys, or I'm looping, I'm just going to win the game that turn anyway. I don't need to wait till my end step to do stuff. But so there's that. But you don't really get those turns in Aristocrats and Standard. The Elish Norn decks and Vran decks, same decks, they don't really work that way. I feel like even with Phyrexocrats, that was a good deck. I stand by that deck, but like you don't get, combo turns most of the time, like you did with like old school Aristocrats, Zulaport Cutthroat, Blood Artists go to town. It's not set up that way. I like the card. I do like this card. I feel like this definitely goes in like LSL Core and Commander. So I have to order a copy of it, right? Because I have an LSL Core Commander deck. So I have to own the card. But as far as Standard goes, am I just like way off here? Am I way off? Because like, I think it might be like a little slow. To hear them tell it, they charge barehanded in a new Phyrexia and beat up Elish Norn all by themselves. Yeah, how victorious are you if you're dead? I guess you can be. You can be. Like your army was victorious, but you're part of that victory. You are. I don't want to take that away from you. We honor the fallen here. We do. But anyway, I feel like I should have more to say about this because it's obviously like a super dev card, but I want to get more excited about it. I guess that's all there is. But, we'll move on to Karn, Legacy Reforged. This is 5 mana. Legendary artifact creature Golem with star PT. Karn Legacy Reforged. Karn Legacy Reforged power and toughness are each equal to the greatest mana value among artifacts you control. So it's at least a 5/5, I assume. It doesn't say other artifacts. At the beginning of your upkeep, add colorless for each artifact you control. This mana can't be spent to cast non-artifact spells. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Okay, so it's a 5 mana 5/5 guaranteed. And you guaranteed get at least 1 mana to spend during your upkeep. But it's got to stay out for at least 1 turn to do that. But it is mana generation. For each artifact you control. I mean, if this sticks around for a turn, it could easily add. I mean, we're talking the floor. The floor is 1. It adds 1, right? But we're talking average. 2 or 3 mana to your pool. And if you have treasure tokens, right, you get the colorless mana for them during your upkeep, and then you can pop the treasure tokens that turn. So that's probably good. You kind of get double mana out of your treasure tokens that way. This card's all right. This card's okay. It doesn't do anything the turn it comes into play, and it costs 5 mana, so it's probably not super playable, but I imagine if it stays on board for a turn, you get to play Cityscape Leveler, or you get to play Portal to Phyrexia. And what are they going to do about that? So they need to kill this. They've got to kill this. This is probably, I mean, like, I've been playing Mightstone and Weakstone in the mono colorless deck to get us to Leveler, to get us to Portal. And even though this costs 5 mana too, I could see like splitting that slot. Although in mono colorless, you need that removal spell. Mightstone and Weakstone's a removal spell. So you need that. You can't play all the 5-drops in the world, but I guess you are skipping from 3 to 5 a lot of the time because you play Celestis and Rocks and stuff in that deck. So you skip from 3 to 5. I could see you playing like 6 5-drops in that deck. I really could. But then do you have room for the portals and the levelers and all the other stuff you need? I don't know. I'm interested in playing around with this. I think if it sticks around for a turn and it just puts like 4 mana in your pool the next turn, it's probably great. And I don't think that's Christmas Land. I don't think it has to be. But then the rest of your deck's probably bad. You know, if this creates 4 mana during your upkeep, it probably did so off of a number of bad cards that are in your deck. So I don't, but you get to play Reckoner Bankbuster. That's good. That's a good card. Let's move on to Kiora, Sovereign of the Deep. 5 mana. Every creature's 5 mana. 5 mana, 3 and Simic colors, blue and green, for a 4/5 legendary Merfolk Noble. It has Vigilance and Ward 3. I like Ward. Whenever you cast a Kraken, oh boy, whenever you cast a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent spell from your hand, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is that spell's mana value. You may cast a spell with mana value X or less from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. Huh. Whenever you cast a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent, we don't have any good... We don't have those in Standard, do we? I'm pretty sure we don't. All right, so hold on. I'm sorry to deviate, but Kraken. This is going to take far too long, but actually, once I get this plugged in, formats, legal, future standard, sort by color, search with these options. All these cards are bad. I guess Hullbreaker Horror is pretty good, but if you're casting Hullbreaker Horror, you're probably winning the game. Serpent. We have Tolarian Terror, yeah. Blade Coil Serpent, that's fine. Invasion of Segovia doesn't count. Octopus. Octopus. It's absolutely nothing. And Leviathan. How is that? Leviathan. Is that correct? Is that how you do that? Yeah. Did I not spell it correctly? I probably didn't. It's highly likely I did not. No, that's correct. Leviathan. All right. So all those cards are bad. Why would we play this card? All right. This. Unless we see some balls. We'd have to have multiple good Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, Serpents, and stuff. So it's a commander card. It's a commander card, and it's a pretty good one. The only reason that I did all that, and like I want the card to be okay, is because Ward 3. Ward 3 is kind of, doesn't ensure that this, like, you get a turn with this, but like, it helps a lot. Ward 3 is pretty good, but it ain't hexproof. Changelings, yeah, we ain't got no changelings. Yeah, Tolarian Terror. I guess if you got... Well, no, that wouldn't work either. I think Tolarian Terror and... Am I wrong about that? Tolarian Terror and Hullbreaker Horror, about the same. Yeah, 7 and 7. Yeah, so... Can't do it. Is it equal or lesser? Mana value X or less for a month without paying its mana cost. Yeah, it has to be less than. I had to reread it. It has to be less than. It would be sweet if you could chain from Terror into Breaker or like vice versa, but nah. Not quite. This is still really neat, though. I kind of like it. Yeah, it's just for Commander. Probably right. Let's look at Leyline Immersion. This is for... I know what this does. Everyone hates this card, but I kind of love this. This is 4 mana, 3 and a green for an aura. Enchant legendary creature only. Enchanted creature has ward 2 and tap. Add 5 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast spells. That's what I was going to do with it anyway. This is really good, guys. I think this is probably quite good, actually, in fact. This is 4 mana. I know you might get blown out when you cast it. That's why everyone hates it. Is because you cast it, your opponent removes your creature while this is on the stack, and then you feel terrible. You get 2 for 1, you shouldn't have played this card. That's probably what's really going to happen. I can't deny that will happen, but if this sticks, then it sticks hard because it gives the creature ward 2, and it instantly gives you mana generation. If you stick this card, you instantly get to ramp. That's crazy. You know, what is it, Invasion of... Oh, God. Invasion of Ikoria, whichever one it is. It might be Zendikar. Maybe it's Zendikar. But anytime we see a card that basically is exploration, not exploration, explosive vegetation. 4 mana, ramp 2. Whenever we see that card, we're like, okay, it could be playable, especially if it has gravy on top. This is 4 mana, ramp 5. So, like, that's pretty sick. Yeah, Rona's in the format. It has to enchant a legendary creature anyway. Right? So put that combo together, kid. That seems pretty sexy, man. Like, you could just cast a legendary spell by tapping Rona and then untap Rona and tap her for more mana. Like, oh my God. The card looks okay. I know you have to stick it. But once you stick it, you can lick it. Like, it instantly ramps you 1 mana. That's sick. It's any combination of colors. Like, I don't know, man. I'm a little too excited about it because it is 4 mana. It has to enchant a legend, but like, there's so many good legends in Standard. That is not a problem. So this card's gross, dude. Like, I think this card might be a little bit gross. I really do. New commander stable? Yeah, probably. Probably. Man. Yeah, throw it on Kiora. Ward 3, then Ward 2. I really do like this card. I really do. I know I shouldn't. I really probably shouldn't. But anytime I see 4 mana ramp 5, like, I'm paying attention. You know? Let's move on to Metropolis Reformer. 3 mana, 2 and a white for a 2/3 Angel Cleric with Flying and Vigilance. You have Hexproof. Yes, you. Whenever Metropolis Reformer is dealt damage, you gain that much life. It's fine. It's a fine card. I don't think this is, like, crazy. I'm trying to talk myself out of thinking it's very good. You can't tell. It's the first time I've read this one. So it's an angel. It's Cleric, too. That's a relevant creature type in some formats. But the fact that it's a 3 mana angel is kind of good. I think I might play Inspiring Overseer over this. I like drawing cards. I really like drawing cards, but I guess you don't have to choose. This is just, we don't have a whole lot of great 3-drop angels. You want to play 10 to 12, right? So you've got Inspiring Overseer, Steel Seraph, and this. That's it. But you don't need, I don't know that you need a 4 of this. You have Hexproof. That protects you from Invoke Despair, Lightning Strike, Kimono Face Kagazan, Play with Fire. What other effects? Doesn't protect you from Sheoldred. Not really sure what else what big cards this protects you from. But Invoke is a pretty big one to protect you from. That ain't bad. I bet this line of text is probably more annoying than I'm giving it credit for. You have Hexproof. Whenever it's dealt damage, you gain that much life. I think I would rather just have Lifelink. I think Lifelink is as strong or stronger in ability, but there's obviously, this is, I guess, more combo-y. Probably do some combos with this. But altogether, it's just solid. And that's about all there is to it. Just a solid magic card. Does a lot of cool stuff. Stops edicts, yeah. Sheoldred's edict and stuff like that. It do. I think it looks great. Yeah, it does die to cut down. I don't usually want to play 3-drops that die to cut down, but like, I played a Welcoming Vampire in my day. You know, I played a Reckless Stormseeker in my day. If it's strong enough, you can play it. But I'm not like sure this is. But the mono black deck, it dies to cut down, but the mono black deck has to burn cut down on this. It has to wait for this to play cut down. Or they're going to have a hard time with that Invoke Despair. So it's good. Oh, Nahiri's Resolve. I know what this card does too. I think I actually know what like 8 to 10 cards did. I didn't give myself enough credit. This card is neat. This is 5 mana. The Boros cards, man, Boros. Wizards is working on Boros lately. 5 mana, 3, a red, and a white. For an enchantment, creatures you control get +1/+0 and have haste. At the beginning of your end step, exile any number of non-token artifacts and or creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of your next upkeep. So it does make you skip your opponent's turn with those dudes. It doesn't, you know, what was the card a couple of sets back that just rotated out, like Transformation Circle or something like that? A Teleportation Circle. You don't get it back like right away or anything. You do have to exile them during your end step, and you don't get them back until your next upkeep. But it's still really sweet. This is still effectively a teleportation circle that works on any number of your dudes and is also an anthem effect. And if that wasn't enough, it also just gives global haste to your dudes. So like, that's a lot of awesome stuff, man. Like 5 mana is a lot. So the combat-y parts of this aren't amazing. Obviously this goes in like a mid-range deck of some kind. So like the combat stuff isn't like super important, but I do think haste is a just unbelievably relevant ability. I really do think it is. And this actually goes okay in like one of those long game kind of tokens decks that wants to play stuff like rabble rousing, you know, tokens decks that don't kill on turn 4, you know. But I'm not sure that this is really where you want to play a card like that, or that's really where we want to play this card. This is just another like ETB thing, you know, like along with Elish Norn, this is good. They both cost 5, so pretty top heavy deck there, but I'm allowed to be excited about, you know, a teleportation circle that hits everything, works really well in like Yorion decks and stuff like that too. It's just like kind of a fake Yorion that you get every single turn. If Yorion was strong, this is too, you know. This doesn't hit permanents. It's just, you know, artifacts and creatures, but refreshes your bank busters. You know, gets you, just imagine this with like Etali, you know, like get an Etali every single turn. That's good. But again, if you cast Etali, you should be on your way to winning the game already. So I'm not like convinced the card is amazing. It's another good commander card, that's for sure. But in standard, I'm really interested in this. It does so much. The card does so many things. So has to give your dudes haste, I guess, because it returns them during your upkeep. But just global haste is always good. Always good. But you can't save your guys from your own wipes with this unless your wipes are somehow instant speed. There could be a way. Let's move on to Narset, Enlightened Exile. What are you? This is 1 in Jeskai colors, blue, red, white. For a 3/4 legendary human monk, creatures you control have prowess. Nice. She includes herself, by the way. Whenever Narset Enlightened Exile attacks, exile target non-creature, non-land card with mana value less than Narset's power from a graveyard and copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So has to be mana value less than Narset's power, but she has prowess, does she not? So that's good. So you cast a spell during pre-combat, she gets up to 4, and then she can cast 4 drops. But like non-creature, non-land. So this can, oh man. So even with her starting power, she can get Fables out of any graveyard. She can get Wedding Announcements out of any graveyard. Again, Graveyard Trespassers, Corpse Appraisers, Third Path, Iconoclast, Monastery Mentor in her own deck. Those are good picks. Like, well, no, sorry. It's got to be non-creature. I apologize. I just started naming a bunch of creatures. I knew not to name creatures at first, but yeah, at least Fable, at least Wedding Announcement. Removal, you can do that. Card drawing spells and stuff like that you can do. Interesting that all your dudes have prowess. That's a good line of text on a 4 mana 3/4. 3/4 is not the best stat line, but it's going to be a 4/5. Like 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a 4/5. And then if you can actually proc the ability and use it, which shouldn't be too hard. Again, it's a graveyard. You can do stuff in their graveyard. Then she'll become a 5/6, right? Exile target, you may cast the copy and all your guys have prowess. Yep. God. Righteous. Because like you're just going to be recasting stuff you cast during first main phase most of the time, right? Like let's say all you do is like Ancestral Anger the Narset and then get in and then exile an Ancestral Anger and play it again. So what is that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're swinging for 9 off 1 Ancestral Anger. Did I get that right? Ancestral Anger is +2/+0 and trample, something like that. Draw a card. So she goes up to 3, 4, 5, 6 because she has prowess. Recast it out of your yard. 6, 7, 9. Yeah, jeez, wow. Huh. You're also casting the copy, so You get Monastery Mentor and Third Path Iconoclast triggers off of that spell too. Like, okay, man. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. The problem that I have with this is that decks that want a card like this, the Third Path, Monastery Mentor, those kind of decks, Kenra Spell Spear, Monastery Swift Spear, cards like that. They want to end the game on turn 4. They don't want to play this card on turn 4. Because if you play this on turn 4, you don't have any mana left to play spells and prowess your Swift Spear or whatever. So there is that problem. You know, you want to play like Balmor, 2 drops if you can help it. This is a little expensive, honestly, but all your guys have prowess. And by the way, prowess triggers separately. Multiple instances of prowess trigger separately. So, if a creature already has prowess, it'll have prowess. So your Swift Spears will proc twice off of casting non-creatures. That's pretty good. But 4 mana is kind of a lot. Like, the more I think about it, 4 mana is so much. But this is a great commander. I want to try it in Standard. I feel like if you untap with this card and play, you're probably going to win the game. Like, almost definitely. But, again, the issue is that this deck should be winning the game by then anyway. So, I'm not, like, super sure. But let's move on to Nashi, Moon's Legacy. I haven't read this card, but I have noted the art. The art is so cool. Miss you, Tammy. Man, why got to do this to me? Honestly, I haven't really paid much attention to the art. I just like the style, the aesthetic. But until now, I hadn't actually seen Tamio back here. That's sad. All right, so Nashi Moon's Legacy is 3 mana, Sultai colors. We used to call this Bug. Black, green, blue. It's a 3/4 legendary rat shaman with menace and ward 1. That's okay. 3 mana, 3/4 menace, ward 1. All right. Whenever Nashi Moon's Legacy attacks, exile up to 1 target legendary or rat card from your graveyard, copy it. You may cast the copy? Huh. Okay. So forget rats. Forget about that. Forget that says rats. Legendary. Oh, and it's legendary card, period. It doesn't have to be a creature. Oh my god. You can cast Planeswalkers with this. Okay, you can cast Planeswalkers with this card. It's good. It's pretty good. But obviously the first thought is that it goes into like Joda Legends. Because there's not really a Sultai Legends deck. There's an Esper Legends deck. I guess you could make it Sultai. What do you get for doing that? You know what I mean? Because you can't play Thalia. I guess you get to play spells. You get to play spells in your deck. Cut Thalia. That's pretty good. You don't get to play Rafine. That's balls. That's not good. But still, Sultai Legends could be a thing. But I'm thinking more 5-color Legends with Joda. And then you can... Oh, God. And then you can cast the Joda. You can attack with Nashi. Immediately cast the Joda. And then pump your entire team and just win that way. That's gross. That's so gross. This is a good card. Look at it on stats alone, man. 3 mana, 3/4 menace, ward 1. Like, this card's playable. This card's hella playable, dude. Whoo. That's pretty good, dude. I'm just making sure. Yeah, you still have to pay for them. That's fine. That's whatever. You're going in because I assume what's going to happen is you cast this, and then you have to. It has to wait a turn, but it has ward. It's got decent stats. Doesn't die to cut down or lightning strike. That's good. You have to wait a turn, but once you do, you've got all your mana untapped, right? You just go. You blow through your first main phase, attack with Nashi. All your mana's untapped. Play whatever you want. So, plus that deck has like Gwenna. To help cast spells. That deck has Catilda, the 2 mana one, to help cast spells. Although I don't think you play this and Catilda in the same deck. Although I've seen Legends builds that play Catilda and not all humans. You don't have to play just humans. But it does seem awkward to go from turn 2 Catilda into this, and the mana would be a little weird. But you could do it. It's possible. But I think you just play 5-color Legends with a lean towards Sultai if you're going to play this guy. This guy's good, man. This guy's really... Am I nuts, guys? Yeah, Atraxa. You play Atraxa. That's pretty good. It's not bad. Oh my god, that's right, Atraxa. Yeah, you could. Itali. Play Itali after you already got the mana. That's... Huh. I I think this card's really good. I don't care that you have to wait a turn. I'm pretty sure this card's good. Shieldred. Just get recast the Shieldred out of your yard. It's in the color combination and everything. Either Shieldred. You could... oh my god. Let's go back. Hold on. You can recast the 4-mana Shieldred. That's all fine and dandy. But you can also recast the 5-mana Shieldred. Okay, so this is the way this lines up. I attack with Nashi. Exile 5-mana Shieldred. Cast it while this ability's on the stack, right? And then you have to sacrifice a guy before you've chosen blockers. That's pretty good, dude. Like, oh, this card's good, dude. Card's pretty good. All right, so let's get it. Yeah, I love the Nissa peak. This is another one of the cards I've already read, and I know something about this. People have been freaking out about this card for like a month, since whenever the leaks first started. And that's because they misread it. Mythic Spoiler had this card, I was going to say mistranslated, but you don't have to translate it. It's in English. On Mythic Spoiler, the card image is in English. But for some reason, they put the wrong thing for the text on Mythic Spoiler. So like everyone got the wrong idea of this card, and they thought that it's like the most bonkers card they've ever seen in their life. But it's not quite. That said, I think this card is pretty good. This is Nissa Resurgent Animus. 3 mana, 2 and a green for a 3/3 Legendary Elf Scout with Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, add a mana of any color. So it's a 3 mana Lotus Cobra. Right off the bat, that's okay. Then, if this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, reveal cards from the top of your library from the top of your library until you reveal an elf or elemental card. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. For some reason, a lot of people had the impression that this card said, if this is the first or second time ability, this ability has resolved. It does not say that. It has to be the second time the ability is resolved that turn in order to get the card advantage. That said, a Lotus Cobra that doesn't die to a stiff breeze, like that's pretty good. A Lotus Cobra that doesn't die to cut down or shock in the festivities, like pretty good. But part of the deal with Lotus Cobra is that you get it on the table on turn 2 and you untap with it on turn 3, you start doing cool stuff. This, you have to wait until turn 4 really to do stuff with it most of the time. And I'm not saying that's too late. You can still get a pretty good burst off of it, especially with some of the stuff we have in Standard. We do have fetch lands of a kind in Standard. I think Evolving Wilds is in the format. Don't quote me. But I know that we have those new Capenna lands that come in and they immediately sacrifice to go get a basic. So you could play Nissa on 3, and then on 4 play like any of them, but it doesn't really matter. Immediately get a mana, go get a tapped basic, and get another mana and card advantage. And that's a very good thing to do. I'm pretty sure that's great. You have 5 mana available to you that turn, effectively. You might have mana dorks or something to where you have more mana. But having 5 mana on 4 is where you want to be most of the time, and you have a pretty sturdy creature on curve and effective card advantage. You could put this in a deck that doesn't have a whole lot of elves or elementals, and that way you're basically guaranteed to get whatever you want to flip into. If you have like 1 elemental in your deck, you're guaranteed to flip in it unless you hit another Nissa. That could happen. But there's some good elves in the format, I guess. There's a Tyvar in this set that we'll look at tomorrow. So that's incentive to join tomorrow. Make sure you watch that video. And that Tyvar doesn't look bad, especially with this Nissa. But I think this is probably one of the better cards in this small set. And again, I haven't seen all the cards in the set yet. I've tried to not look at leaks and stuff as much as possible. But this is one of those cards that was not under the radar. It was very hard to not know this card existed, especially as a content creator. So I have read this card a bunch, and I think that if green's going to be a deck in Standard, this is probably going to be a big part of that. But ask yourself this question. How many times in a game of magical cards is this going to be better than that 3/3 that puts a treasure token into play and has Vigilance and Trample? Is it a strict upgrade to that card or not? Not sure. I know I sound nuts here and that this is definitely a strict upgrade on that card, but I'm not like super sure. I'm really not. But one way or the other, I do think this card will affect Standard at some point in its life cycle. And again, if green is a part of Standard, I think this has something to do with it. As do those fetch lands. I think that's probably where you want to be. I also say this works pretty well with Splendid Reclamation. Let me throw that out there. We still have Splendid Reclamation in Standard for the next few months before rotation, and this works super well with that, man. Just Splendid Rec, like 5 lands back, get a bunch of mana, cast something big. I like it, but we'll see. We'll see about it. So let's see what's next. Niv-Mizzet Supreme. It costs all 5 colors of mana. It costs Wooburg for a 5/5 legendary dragon avatar with flying and hexproof from monocolored. Each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard that's exactly 2 colors has Jumpstart. What the hell? I forgot what it is. Isn't that basically flashback? Jumpstart MTG mechanic. Like, what's the difference between flashback and jumpstart? Jumpstart is a keyword ability on instants and sorceries. Allows the player to cast a spell from their graveyard for the additional cost of discarding a card. It was introduced in Guilds of Ravnica for the Izzet League of Ravnica. The spell card is exiled when it leaves the stack. Okay. Rules. Jumpstart appears on some instants and sorceries. It represents 2 static abilities. One that functions while the card is in the player's graveyard, and another functions while the card is on the stack. Jumpstart means you may cast this card from your graveyard if the resulting spell is an instant or sorcery spell, but discarding the card is an additional cost to cast it. And if this spell was cast using this Jumpstart ability, exile the card instead of putting it anywhere else in the time it would leave the stack. So it's just flashback with more steps. That's really all it is. Okay, cool. Okay. So he comes with lettuce and tomatoes. Yeah, he comes with green peppers and olives. Niv-Mizzet Supreme. Sick art, by the way. Hexproof from monocolored means hexproof, right? That's basically what that means. It doesn't die to go for the throat, so it's unkillable. What are the spells that kill this? Tear Asunder is not technically... I guess it is multicolored if you cast it, and it can kill this. Is it? If you kick it for the black cost, is it still... No, it's a green-black spell. That works. But no one plays Tear Asunder. They should. Tear Asunder is a very good card. What kills this? Sweepers. I mean, sweepers kill this, but like, what kills this? Lay Down Arms doesn't kill it. Fateful Absence doesn't kill it. Ossification doesn't kill it. Go for the Throat doesn't kill it. Infernal Grasp doesn't kill it. No red removal spell kills it anyway. I mean, the ones that do can't kill it, right? So, like, what kills this card? Void Rend? Yeah, Void Rend. Void Rend kills... You have multiple chatters, Void Rend. Rite of Oblivion does rotate, but I guess Invasion of New Capenna could also target it. But we still have Rite of Oblivion for the next, like, 5 months, 4 months, whatever. May, June, July, August, September, like 4 months. Asgul, yeah, maybe. Yeah, oh, yeah, the, like, edicts kill this, right? Invoke Despair, Sheoldred's Edict. If it's your only creature, then... they can kill it. That works. Unleash the Inferno. Spicy. I like it. Yeah, Mightstone and Weakstone. Has anybody said that yet? Kills it. Path of Peril Cleaved. Yeah, well, yeah, it's sweepers. Sweepers kill it. Spine of Ish Saw. Nice, Viz, right. Looking for standard cards. But yeah, Spine does kill it. Isn't there a colorless removal spell? Yeah, Invasion of Ravnica is a colorless removal spell. So there's that. But nobody plays it. And again, Mightstone and Weakstone, but nobody really plays that card. But that's a good card, isn't it? Wait a minute. Okay, now that we've figured out what Jumpstart is, and we've named all the stuff that doesn't kill this. This card is very good, right? Huh? It costs Wooburg, so whatever. Who cares? You can easily play this in Standard. We've got every land ever printed in Standard right now, except for the original Duelos. So you can play 5 colors easily. We get treasure tokens, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, whatever. You can make some treasures. You can cast this card. It doesn't die to anything except sweepers in Standard. I mean, Void Rend, yeah, but whatever. Literally 90% of played removal this doesn't die to. So like almost effective hexproof. And then if you untap with it, which you're super likely to untap with it, then you just get to start casting like removal and card draw out of your yard. So it's better than Leer. This is better than Leer, right? This is just better than Leer. Oh, you can cast counterspells with it. Oh my God. You can cast counterspells with it. Okay, this card's sick. This card's good. This card's good, guys. Like the only drawback is Wooburg. And that ain't even no drawback. No drawback. This is really good, dude. This is good. Like, yeah, it's exactly 2 colors. I mean, there's stuff. That is the one real drawback, right? Is that the card has to be exactly 2 colors that you're jump starting. But like, I don't care. With Sacred Fire, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Angel Fire Ignition already has flashback. There's cards. There are cards. Domain just goes in domain. That could work. Corpse Cobbling. That's fun. Yeah, what counter spells are exactly 2 colors? That's a tough one. That is a tough one. I guess it casts Growth Spiral, doesn't it? Yeah, that's a good card. I think this is really good, guys. I'm going to look up what instants and sorceries are gold. I'm going to do it later on. But let's look at Nixilis Captive Kingpin. This is 4 mana, 2, a red, and a black for a 4/3 legendary demon with flying and trample. 4 mana, 4/3 flying trample. Whenever 1 or more opponents each lose exactly 1 life, okay, put a +1/+1 counter on Nixilis Captive Kingpin. Exile the top card of your library. Until your next end step, you may play that card. Okay, so this is Historic Brawl Commander, right? This is for a Mayhem Devil and Cauldron Familiar. This is for cards that haven't been in Standard for 3 years. Something like that. Oh man, I wish we had Mayhem Devil in Standard, don't I? Well, we do have Ellysil Core. This works with Ellysil Core, so I should really like this, right? Some Mardu 4-drop. Is this just a poor man's, oh crap. The Jund Commander. Guys, help me out. Jund, Dragon Commander. 5 mana dude, cares when you sacrifice stuff. Draws cards when you sacrifice stuff. He gets +1/+1 counter and you draw a card when you sacrifice things. Starts with a K? Am I right about this? Corvar? Is that correct? Corvold? Is that right? I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's correct. Corvold Mtg. Yes, Fakehurst King. Yeah, this guy. Let me reread you. This is a really important Historic Brawl Commander already, isn't it? 5 mana. I guess Nixilis goes in the 99 of this. So, Corval Fakehurst is 4/4 flying. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attack, sacrifice another permanent. Where you sacrifice permanent. Okay, so this is not that, but it works in those decks. It works in those same decks, right? So you just have a 4-drop and a 5-drop that get huge and get your card advantage. Maybe there. Is this playable in Standard? Whenever 1 or more opponents each lose exactly 1 life. So what are we looking here? Kumana faces Kakazan, Voldaren Epicure, in the festivities, just attacking with a 1-drop or like a 1-power guy, right? But then you that doesn't work either because you have to attack with exactly 1-power guy. So that's neat. Whenever a demon or whenever a devil token dies, they'll lose 1 life for each of those. So that makes sense with Nixilis, right? So it works with the 3 mana Nixilis. It's cute. What else? Anybody got anything? It's Anvil. Yeah, I didn't give Anvil. Anvil does work. Yeah, doesn't this go in Anvil? Does it? Yeah, probably. Yeah, this is probably the finish in Anvil. Anvil needs a finisher. Anvil needs a card a lot like this when you think about it. Not bad. It's not bad. And the Anvil deck has Epicure, right? So multiple cards proc it in that deck. It's probably good. Is Anvil on the menu? Is Anvil on the menu? Yeah, 4 mana is, that's my problem. Lemons, you're correct. Is 4 mana too expensive for Anvil? Oh, thanks for the raid, Chloe. Appreciate you. Chloe Ultra with the raid. Appreciate you, man. Or friend. Shouldn't presume anyone's gender. Sorry about that. But yeah, appreciate you, friend. You're a good friend. Nixilis. Now that you guys have said Anvil, like I was naming a bunch of cards, but somehow didn't get around to Anvil. You're correct. That is the card to name. This is good. Probably pretty good. It is expensive in Anvil, but I think that Anvil's okay. With like a 2 or 3 of Ob, I think it could work. Because Anvil needs like a big finish, a push. It needs card advantage. This does that too. So I'm kind of down to at least try it there. It's kind of sick. It's kind of good. So, let's look. It opened the way here. This is 2 green and X for a sorcery. X can't be greater than the number of players in the game. Reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal X land cards. Put those land cards onto the battlefield tapped and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Only land in your deck is Gia's Cradle. You win. Right? I don't think it's going to work. Don't try that. You have to cast the card. But obviously, in like on Arena, this is going to be 3 mana for a land. It's not good. It's not good. But I guess in Commander, where it's like scalable, it's fine. Probably not amazing, but like fine. It's whatevs. I guess if you can cast this for 5 mana, go get 3 lands, it's pretty okay. But we'll move on. Yeah, not great. Not a great card. But this is Pia Nalar, Consul of love Pia Nalar. Consul of Revival. I don't know why she's like bright white. That's a weird. You're not blonde, and oh, is this a statue? Are you a statue right now? I don't know what's going on here. I have no idea what's going on. I'm sorry. But anyway, this is 2 mana, Boros colors, a red and a white for a 2/3 legendary human artificer. Thopters you control have haste. Whenever you play a land from exile or cast a spell from exile, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with the flying. It's pretty cool. Not great though. I gotta admit to you. It is a statue? Okay, that explains it, because otherwise that'd be really weird. She's not supposed to look like that. Somehow she's a statue with power and toughness who can attack. It's fine. She's an animated statue at this point. But this is 2 mana 2/3, which isn't the worst stats in the world, but it's not like playable on its own anymore. It used to be. Thopters you control have haste is neat, because that's not the only way to get a Thopter in Standard, but still, it's not that important of a line. And whenever you play a land from exile, cast a spell from exile. There's ways to do that, right? We have some things in Standard, but not a whole lot, right? Not really a whole lot of stuff. I mean, this looks more like a historic brawl or just commander card than anything else. But like, I'm hoping to be like super, super wrong on this. So it could be cool. I mean, 2 drops. 2-drop creatures, 2/3, it dies to cut down, but like, forget about that. It doesn't matter. It's got like a pseudo important line of text. I guess if you're playing Saheeli, your Thopters already have haste. It's the Thopters she makes have haste. But you know, altogether, like, it could be a neat card, but that's about it. That's about the size of it. I don't know how great it actually is, but you gotta look at these 2 mana creatures, man. You never know. Rebuild the city. I know what this card does too. I've been waiting to get to it. I think this card is sick. This is 6 mana. So remember that. It is 6 mana. It's 3 enjund colors, black, red, green. For sorcery, choose target land. Create 3 tokens that are copies of it, except they're 3/3 creatures in addition to their other types, and they have vigilance and menace. It's so cool, man. It's such an awesome card. It's in 3 colors, so you probably can't like copy blast zones or Mishra's Foundries, stuff like that. We don't have any other like creature lands in Standard, really. You know, you can't copy Mirrex and make a bunch of those. Is it legendary? I'm not sure that it is. But anyway, you probably can't copy too many colorless awesome lands with this. But at the same time, forget about that. This is 6 mana to ramp 3. So you go from 6 to 9, which is of course very nice. I don't have to tell you that. But going from 6 to 9 mana is actually kind of relevant for a few reasons. Obviously, Portal to Phyrexia, but obviously like transforming multiple creatures in this Standard now that we've got March of the Machine out. So 9 mana is enough. You can spend that. It's a spendable amount of mana. You can copy Mirrex, good to know. And it is dope flavor too, by the way. Get 3 lands, basically rebuild 3 lands. You also get 9 power out of this. It's not just 6 mana ramp 3. That wouldn't be good enough. It's 6 mana for 9 power, which is great. And by the way, you can target, one of your opponent's lands with this if you want to. So I think it's a cool thing to be able to do. But even if you create like token copies of your lands, they come into play untapped. So not only is this 6 mana for 9 power, not only is it 6 mana to jump from 6 to 9, but it's also generating 3 mana effectively that you can turn around. And well, I guess you can't use it that turn, can you? Because they don't have haste. But if you find a way to give them haste, I guess you can do that. But you can block with them. You can block with them in that turn cycle. Turn around and use them the next turn. So there's just a lot that I like about this card. I think 6 mana might be slightly priced out of actual playability, but I'm not sure about it. You know, it doesn't do nothing. If it was just 6 mana to ramp 3 and that was all it did, go get 3 lands, put them into play tapped or something, I think the card was garbage, but this is actually really versatile. 9 power on the table is enough to attack for a chunk or block, you know, stay in the game, whatever. Or maybe just block with one of them and you ramp 2 for the next turn. Now you're at 8 mana at least. So I think this card is actually it has a chance at being pretty good. I rate this card kind of highly, but I admit that 6 mana is so much. So let's move on. So you can jumpstart it with Niv. I like the way you think. I like the way you think. Yeah, Niv wants exactly 2 colors. That's true. That's true. Has to be 2 colors. But let's look at Samut here, Vizier of Noctamen. This is 3 mana, 1 a red and a green for a 2/3 legendary human warrior cleric with first strike, vigilance, and haste. All right. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, if that creature entered the battlefield this turn, draw a card. Are you really good, actually? Okay, so 3 mana, 2/3 haste. The haste is a big deal. That is, if you want to make a 3 mana, 2 power guy playable, giving him haste that helps so much. First strike is also okay. Vigilance, that's somewhat relevant in this format. Just Wandering Emperor. Vigilance is a decent ability now. First strike, vigilance, haste. 2/3, 3 mana. Not great. Not great. On the play, this is probably decent. On the draw, this is probably trash, right? Because anything your opponent plays on turn 3 blocks and kills this. Even with the first strike, if it's Graveyard Trespasser, if it's Corpse Appraiser, not Fable of the Mirror Breaker, so there's that. If it's soldiers and they get like Thalia on 2, Valiant Veteran on 3, or the new Anthem effect, you know, they get that on 3. So obviously a 3 mana 2/3 is not as good on the draw. I'm not really saying anything revolutionary, but I think this is like way worse on the draw and really decent on the play some of the time. I don't hate it. It doesn't trade with Thalia, right? If you are on the play, it doesn't trade with Thalia. Is this better than Reckless Stormseeker? Draw a card. It's not even the red way, right? You expect this to be, you know, exile a card until the end of your next turn, you can play it. But no, you just draw the card. Take it into your hand. It's pretty good. Ooh, this is pretty good with Kumano, right? Right. Because, first of all, if you play Kumano on like 2, then you play this on 3. This is a 3/4, which doesn't die to cut down, so it's like way, way better. It doesn't die to lightning strike if you do that. That's way better. But if you played Kumano on 1, okay, then creature on 2, and then on 3 you play this, and you have your Kumano token, it's a 2/2. You swing with both of them, and if they both get through for combat damage, you draw 2 cards. Because they both enter the battlefield that turn. And then next turn, you cast Thundering Raiju. And if it gets through for combat damage, you draw a card. Is this good? Haste does help. But am I playing this over Reckless Stormseeker? Is this worth putting green in my mono red deck? That's another question. I guess we have Copperline Gorge and Carplicin Forest, so you're not losing much by adding green to mono red. You're not losing much consistency. What do you guys think? On curve with Pia. Yeah. It's my kind of card. Plays well with Feldon. Yeah, it does. Any haste creature, but yeah. Like on 3, you play this, and then on 4, you like lightning strike their guy, play Feldon, get in. Like that would be probably a really good play. I don't know. This has a lot of potential, I think. I'm pretty sure this has potential, but 2 mana 2/3 or 3 mana 2/3. I don't know, man. I don't know, dog. Let's move on to Sarkhan Soul of Flame. This is 3 mana, 1 a blue and a red for a 2/4 legendary human shaman. Dragon spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Okay. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, you may have Sarkhan Soul of Flame become a copy of it until end of turn. Except its name is Sarkhan Soul of Flame and it's legendary in addition to other types. So you can play a legendary dragon and still have Sarkhan copy it because its name is still Sarkhan. That's okay. Wait a minute. So I can cast Ojutai, Zurgo and Ojutai, and have this become a copy of it until end of turn. Swing with both of them? That's neat. I can also pop the Sarkhan back to my hand end of turn if I copy Ojutai with it. So that's cute. That's a cute interaction. Huh. What other dragons? What other good dragons? You know what I mean? Dragon spells cost 1 less to cast is sick because you can go from this into Zergo and Jutai the next turn. It's pretty good. This is a commander card, right? This goes in like every dragon's deck forever. This is gonna be money, right? It goes in Dragon, so like definitely goes in Dragon, guaranteed. But in standard, in historic maybe, in the Tiamat decks in historic. There's Tiamat decks in commander. Shoot, Tiamat decks in historic brawl. There's that. This is probably really good, isn't it? This is probably okay. Yeah, Capricious Hellraiser. Ooh, that's spicy right there. You get is that new Convoke guy a dragon? The like huge Hoarding Broodlord, I think it's called. It's like 8 mana and he's black, but he has Convoke. And I think when that's an ETB. It wouldn't work. Because that's an ETB effect, and Sarkhan's already in play. This doesn't copy ETB, so you can't like Itali, you know. Goldspan, you know, in historic or whatever. Copy Goldspan, just be making treasure tokens and stuff. You can also curve from this into Goldspan. That's good. This is all right. This is a pretty good card. Doesn't die to cut down. 3-drop that doesn't die to cut down. That's important. Doesn't die to lightning strike. I think Sarkhan's pretty good, man. I think this is good. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Maniform Hellkite. That exists. Sigarda, Font of Blessings. This is 4 mana, 2, a green and a white for a 4/4 legendary angel with flying. Other permanents you control have hexproof, not creatures. That's neat. Other permanents you control have hexproof. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast angel and human spells from the top of your library. Wow, that's good. It's pretty good. So a 4 mana 4/4 flyer is really not like the best thing in the world. I've said that before, and I'll stick by it. But okay, so you have to untap with this in play really for it to do much of anything. Other permanents you control have hexproof, so they need to kill the Sigarda, but they're probably going to do that first anyway. It's likely they were going to do that first anyway. If you wait to play the Sigarda until after you play your other important permanents, they'll just, you know, go for the throat something while this is on the stack. But will they? Will they do that actually? Because then they're not going to go for throat anything else for the rest of the game. Bant Angels? Abzan Angels? Is that what we're doing? Naya Angels with Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Adding a third color to Angel would be sweet. You know, I've been playing Esper Angels since Errant and Giada came out. That's what made me think Bant Angels was Errant and Giada. Angels is mostly mono white. But it's really good with Fable. This doesn't work with Fable, but still. I guess you want to play the 4 mana 3/4 lifelink angel that like kicks for black or red. So are you playing like 4 color angels? Are you doing that? Is this worth adding green to angels? That's the question tonight, isn't it? Like every other card, it's like, is this worth adding green to an existing deck? This looks okay. Again, if you untap with this in play, you might get card advantage. You might not, though. It might just be a land, you know? I don't know. I think it's pretty good, but not like amazing. That's my final verdict on this one. This card was Shalai. Yeah, Shalai kind of does the same thing. Yeah. Here, Ratadrabic. They're both 4s, though. It's kind of awkward. It is cute, though. That's... God. Oh, if you can do that, too, because, like, you can somehow get a 2/2 copy of Sigarda and then play another Sigarda. Because the 2/2 zombie won't be legendary, right? So one will give, you know, both of them will give the other one's hexproof. That's cute. That's cute. That's super cute. You can do that in standard. But again, it's awkward. It's really awkward. But it would be cute, and your opponent just casts Farewell. Invoke Despair. Damn it. Let's move on. To Tazri, Stalwart Survivor. This is 3 mana for a 3/3 legendary human warrior. Each creature you control has tap to add 1 mana of any of this creature's colors. Spend this... Oh, it's bad. Spend this mana only to activate an ability of a creature. Activate only if this creature has activated... Wait. Activate only if this creature has another activated ability. Oh, this card's bad, isn't it? I haven't even read the rest of it. Wooburg, tap, mill 5 cards. Put all creature cards with activated abilities that aren't mana abilities from among the milled cards into your hand. This is a commander card. This is a 5-color activated abilities commander. Okay. That's kind of exciting, I guess, in that capacity, but standard? I guess you just play it with a bunch of mana dorks. I guess, like, Reckoner Bankbuster, you can make that a creature, and then it can tap to... because it has another activated ability. I'm thinking too hard about this card. It's not standard playable, is it? Probably not. But look at that, man. Put all creature cards with activated abilities that aren't mana abilities from among the milled cards into your hand. Into your hand? They should be on the battlefield. It's terrible. All right. Yeah, that's not a good card. Training Grounds. This is a single blue mana for an enchantment. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the mana in that cost to less than 1. This, on the other hand, is very good, isn't it? Holy God. This is really good. Like, this is a good commander card. That's the format I'm thinking of. Like, is this good in standard? Again, like Reckoner Bankbuster, and then you crew it, and you can tap it for a card, I guess. I guess that's okay, though, right? You play Training Grounds on 1, Bankbuster on 2, a creature to crew it on 3. You crew it to block, and then Training Grounds lets you just tap it to draw a card, but like it's not good enough. You have to justify putting this card in your deck. You have to justify probably spending 4 slots on this card, because every creature in your deck has an activated ability. What else? Is there anything good? I mean, transformable creatures count, I guess. Transformable creatures. What else? I'm drawing a blank right now on like creatures with decent activated abilities in standard. Aside from, again, transforming. But this is a reprint? This thing right here, Training Grounds? This is a reprint? Huh. It's in standard. Is this like an old card? Training Grounds. Scryfall. Rise of the Eldrazi. I was not playing for Rise of the Eldrazi. Oh, this is $26. This is a $26 card. Okay, so it is a commander card. I was correct in my assessment. As soon as I read this card, my eyes got big and I was like, oh, commander. Okay, so yeah. Apparently everybody already knows and discussed it at length. It's a Judge gift card. Oh, it looks great. You guys can't see it. There it is. It looks great. Huh. Rise of the Eldrazi is on the list too. And the list version is more expensive. Huh. Okay, so what do we do in standard with this? I'm not really sure. Banned in modern. Good lord. Jeez. Yeah, the Rise of the Eldrazi was one of the few sets that I was taking a break for. So I had never really seen this card. It looks like an old card in that it's simple. It's when they still were able to make simple cards. We can't do that anymore. So yeah, obviously the card's very good. I don't have to tell you that. Everybody knows. So let's move on to Tranquil Thrillback. This is 3 mana, 2 and a green for a 3/3 dino. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay green up to 3 times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, choose up to that many. Well, that's awkward wording. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Okay. Exile target player's graveyard, or you gain 4 life. So if I pay 6 mana for this, I get to do all 3. If I pay 5 mana, I get a 3/3 that destroys an artifact or enchantment and exiles your graveyard. Exile your Bankbuster, exile the Atraxa. Exile your Fable, exile the Atraxa. That's what this does, right? I guess you probably won't be able to do it in time if you want to do that with it. But this is good, isn't it? Isn't this kind of good? I don't know. For it to do anything, it's cost 4 mana. I don't know if it's that good at 4, but it's really versatile. It plays well against nearly anything. 4 mana, 3/3 that gains 4 life against aggro. 4 mana, 3/3 that exiles a graveyard against Atraxa. And 4 mana, 3/3 that exiles, Fable, the Mirror Breaker, Wedding Announcement, stuff like that. That's all decent modes. So this is like an acidic slime or something. Build your own acidic slime. That's pretty good, actually. I don't know why. I feel like this should be uncommon. But I feel like, too, if you pay 5 mana for it, if I just pay 5 mana in a normal game of Magic, pay 5 mana, I don't want to pay 5 for a 3/3. But 5 for a body on the table that is removal and also gains 4 life. It's not bad. It really isn't bad. Against mono red, you play this, and you can blow up their Mechanized Warfare or their Kumano Faces Kakazan. That's not a bad play. And gain 4. It's not bad. What does it do against mono white? Was it Wedding Announcement, Reckoner Bankbuster? Just a 4/4 that blows up Bankbuster, or 3/3 for 4 that blows up Bankbuster is okay, but then they've already drawn like 2 cards. At least 1, right? This is okay, though. Like, this is okay. This would have been insane 15 years ago. Yeah. If this had been printed 20 years ago, this would be a staple. We would all know and love this guy. If he was a classic card, everyone would love this. It would be Acidic Slime levels, but as it seems, I think it's just better than Acidic Slime, and that's good territory to be in, you know? Better than Acidic Slime, not as good as Utabi Orangutan or like Reclamation Sage. And for what it's worth, Lauren of the Third Path is probably better than this card. Right? But it's still okay as a fine card. Urborg Scavenger. Oh, I know what this card does too. I've been waiting to get this card, guys. I really like this card. 3 mana, 2 and a black for a 2/2 spirit. Whenever Scavengers enters the battlefield or attacks, exile target card from a graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on Urborg Scavengers. Scavengers has flying as long as the card exiled with it has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. The big 12 keyword combat-y keyword abilities. And Hexproof and Indestructible too. This guy reminds me of one of my favorite creatures of all time. I love Karn Wanderer. There's a couple of dudes like this, but Karn Wanderer is like maybe the most famous and the one that I like the most. It's only 50 cents to get a copy of this from Lorwyn, but yeah, as long as a creature card with flying is in a graveyard, Wanderer has flying. The same is true for Fear, First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste. Does this sound familiar, right? So it's basically the same card in a lot of ways, but cheaper. This will enter the battlefield and immediately become a 3/3 9 times out of 10. It doesn't have to exile a creature card or anything. No special types or whatever, like Graveyard Trespasser. This is just a 3 mana 3/3 that if it lives for a turn and attacks, almost certainly becomes a 3 mana 4/4, and then a 5/5, and then a 6/6, and sometimes it'll be a flyer. Sometimes it'll have Death Touch or Hexproof. Occasionally it'll have Haste. You know, exile a guy with Haste from their yard and immediately swing with it. And that's really gross if you'd exile a guy with Haste, because, you know, it'll become a 4/4 the same turn it comes into play if you're able to do that. So get rid of that Monastery Swiftspear, just cut it down turn 1, and then turn 3, play this, get rid of the Swiftspear from their yard. It has Haste. Get rid of the cut down from your yard, swing 4. That seems really, really good. That seems so good. So, and honestly, a lot of creatures in the format have flying. Thalia has First Strike, so it shouldn't be too hard to get that. Just cut down the Thalia on turn 2. EOT, cut down the Thalia, and then play this 3/3 First Strike immediately. Amazing. This can exile an Atraxa, by the way, and just get all those abilities. And I'm pretty sure it's going to have an Atraxa or 2 to eat from time to time, right? If this eats an Atraxa, what do you have, a 3/3, what is it, Trample, Vigilance, Flying, Lifelink or something like that? Come on. So gross. Yep, ETB or attack. So that means that you could exile an Atraxa, right? And well, yeah, immediately. It's not immediately swing with it, but immediately get all those abilities, and that's good. But yeah, I think this is actually like a sleepery good kind of card. I haven't really, everyone's talking about Nissa and stuff today. I haven't seen too many people talking about this. This is like sneakily like maybe my actual favorite card that I knew existed before I started looking at these cards. So I love this thing. Reminds me of Karn Wanderer, but like actually powerful. Grows really quickly. This grows very fast. So by the time it attacks, it's a 4/4, like every time. So, and then it attacks again. It's a 5/5. You paid 3 mana for it. It's a quest, not a questing beast. It's a beast. It's a 3 mana 5/5 from Throne of Eldraine. Oh my god, I forgot what it's called. From Beauty and the Beast. The Beast from Beauty and the Beast. You pay 1 mana, the adventure half of it. You get a 1/1 princess or whatever. Lovestruck Beast. Lovestruck. I got to it. Yeah, it's a 3 mana 5/5 like really, really easily. And it's so easy to get a keyword abilities too. It is so easy, guys. I love this thing. I want to marry it. Don't tell Ellis. It's a good card, man. But let's move on. because I can't just gush about that card all night. To Vesuvan Drifter. And yeah, by one last thing, the question remains if it's good, better than, I was going to say gooder, if it's better than Graveyard Trespasser. I think Trespasser is really, really good, but especially with Atraxa in the format, yeah, I would like to eat Atraxa with this card. Yes, do that. So, but let's move on to Vesuvan Drifter. This is 3 mana, 2 and a blue for a 2/4 shapeshifter. It has flying, and you may look at the top card of your library anytime. At the beginning of each combat, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you reveal a creature card this way, Drifter becomes a copy of that card until end of turn, except it has flying. Is this card gross? Is it just me, or is this card actually just massively disgusting? Like, does this card have the potential to just be the stupidest thing ever? If you can somehow engineer a situation where the turn this comes into play, you have a haste dude on the top of your library. Like a big fat 7 mana haste guy on top of your library somehow. And this becomes a copy. With flying, in case the thing doesn't already have flying. I think this is probably going to whiff like some of the time. And even sometimes when it doesn't whiff, you're not going to want to turn it into whatever the thing is on top of your library. So I think this is actually a really particular kind of setup-y card that might not be as good as it looks. But it is a 3 mana flyer that doesn't die to cut down or lightning strike. Those are important stats. And it doesn't have like draw a card on it or anything. It's not quite that. But looking at the top card of your library anytime is not nothing. It isn't nothing. And, you know, you can reveal a Titan of Industry on top of your library. And that's not actually good because Titan of Industry is really all ETB triggers. But, you know, you can reveal an Atraxa on top of your library and swing with all those keyword abilities. And it's a 7/7. It's just, it seems really, really good in some ways. But also, I think my eyes might be really big on this one. I think this is actually going to not proc anywhere near as many times as you want it to. But at least the body is fine. Like, it's not a bad one. Yeah, whiff and blue in this scry economy. Yeah, scrying, exactly. Anything that allows you to scry helps you set this card up really well. So just like turn it into a flying hole breaker horror and start throwing spells around, you know? That's a good thing to be able to do. Any day of the week. So I don't hate it. But I want it to be better than it is. But maybe it's gross. This is an interesting card to come last. This is the last card of the day because this is one of the hardest calls for me of the entire day. This card could either be like outrageously disgusting or it's fine. It's whatever. I'm actually kind of leaning more towards whatever. But again, scrying ain't too hard. There's also some cards in the format right now that put cards on top of the library. Hidetsugu and Kairi is one thing, right? So there's that. And Hidetsugu and Kairi is a good thing for this to hit too, just because it becomes a 5/4 flyer, you know. So I don't hate this, and I want to set it up with stuff. It's a really, really interesting Magic card, but it remains to be seen whether or not it's competitively viable. But it took about an hour and a half to do those. That's a good long YouTube video. I hope you enjoyed it. But that is all for the cards for today. Like I said, we're going to be doing the rest of the cards, about 20 of them, in a YouTube video tomorrow. A real, God's honest YouTube video with production values, except not really, tomorrow. So look forward to that. I just wanted to look at some of the real bangers tonight and some of the kind of stuff that sparks my curiosity like this, you know. And just talk about those, man. Thanks, chat, for setting me straight on at least 1 or 2 cards and giving me great ideas. Like, I can't believe I didn't think of Anvil with Nixilis. You're right. That is so good. You should be content creators. What am I doing? You're 100% right. So I appreciate chat pitching in every now and again. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, you could be here, twitch.tv/SBMTGDev. It's free to follow. Why are you so afraid of the platform? Branch out. We have a lot of fun over here. We had a nice little community going and stuff. That's all I got for this one. Just let me know how you felt about all of these cards in the comments section. What I missed, again, I went in blind on 9 out of 10 of these for the most part. So I'm sure I missed a trick or two here and there. And there's some nutso to butso combos that I haven't brought up. All of these cards are going to affect standard. March of the Machine Aftermath's the best set ever printed, I'm sure. So just let me know what I missed in the comments section. And that'll be about it. Just do the other stuff before you leave, you know, before you hit the lights, hit the like button, grab your gym bag and all that stuff. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done it yet for more spoilers, decks, blah, blah. all the things. Check out the Patreon if you want to throw me $1 a month. That's all I really ask of you. It helps out a tremendous amount. I am extremely broke. If you want to let me keep doing this for a living, maybe check out the Patreon, link in the description for that. And that is about it. So I guess YouTube cats, I will catch you later. I am Deb from The Place. Thanks for watching, Wizards. Spread love and be kind.